and we'll get going in 2 more minutes, just to be respectful of everybody's time.
Mhm.
And so I'm in Ottawa, and so it's getting nice now. The snow is melting, thank God. Do you still have snow? No, you don't, right?
Well, we did. I was in Austin, Texas over the weekend, and it was
Mm-hmm.
21 degrees there. And my daughter Lauren sent me a picture, or no, I called her and she showed me her phone. She was like, "It's snowing here," but the snow has melted since. Um, but yeah, oof, okay. But
It's
it feels
spring. It's gone.
warmer, but it's not. It's not. It's not like fully spring
It's
yet. I know spring is,
no.
but the weather's not spring
It's
yet.
like transitioning into spring. So, but then the next couple of weeks for us is going to be really nice. So it's going to melt a lot of the snow. So yay for melting snow.
Okay.
So we've
Ooh,
got
South Africa, Johannesburg. Welcome.
yes. I have so many people in my community from South Africa. They're amazing.
Really? That is so
Yes.
cool.
Yes, I do. Actually, my social media manager is from South Africa, and she's awesome. And so I have a lot of people in my community from there. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
That is
And
so
then,
cool.
yeah, and then Teresa's in Indiana, and she's like, we're getting a ton of rain.
Uh, but I'd rather get rain than snow, Teresa. I don't know about you. What about you, Julie?
Yes. I like to have snow for like the Christmas break, and then I like for like maybe like a month I can deal with snow, but then I'm done with it. We're not winter people, like we're not winter sport people or anything like that.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm done with the snow.
Right. Yep. Same. Same. Same.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna keep a look on if anybody else joins. I'll let them in. But guys, I'm super excited today to have Andrea with us. We've known each other for what, like almost 3 years now, right? Like
Yeah, I think so. It was like 2017 or 2018, right?
yes, and we joined a course together, like at the same time, and then we kind of been following each other's journeys ever since. And Andrea, she's such an amazing soul. Her energy is incredible. I could listen to you talk all day long because you're so inspiring and empowering and beautiful from the inside out. And I just love you all, like all of you, all of everything of you. Anyway, so
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get right into our little training that Andrea has for us today. So
Yes.
go ahead, my friend.
Okay. So, I think the most important thing that people need to know about me is that I am a goddess queen, period. And I am an unapologetic goddess queen. I make no apologies for viewing myself as a goddess queen. So everything that I do is done through the lens of being a goddess queen. So I think it's important for all of us to own who we are. Like every single last one of us is so important for us to own all of who we are. And I own all of who I am. Now, for those of you who are more like left brain, who are like, yeah, why, what? No, that's not enough. I'm an intuitive, transformational, and trauma sensitive coach, and I help high performers heal. I don't even help them heal. I don't help people heal because everybody's responsible for their own healing. So, what I do is I provide a safe space for high achievers to heal while discovering their purpose, pursuing their passion, so that they can create more happiness, fall in love with themselves, make more money, and truly live an abundant life. And I have been on the healing and self discovery journey for over 22 years now. And truth be told, I don't ever want to get off this journey. Um, because the minute that I have 100% wholly, completely healed every area of my life, then I know that my next moment, I will be in eternity. I will transition over to the other side. And I'm not ready to do that just yet. So I will stay on the healing journey as long as I need to. I am a retired corporate accountant. Julie, you know this, in 2019, I retired from a successful 15-year corporate career, had all the money, making the six figures, cushy job, my own office, big windows, all of that. Um, but I decided, and not that I decided, but I realized that that wasn't my life's purpose. And so I retired to do this, which is exactly what I'm doing. Again, I don't just work with women. When I first started out, I did, but I work with both men and women who are high achievers, because I am a high achiever myself. And I'm also a wife of almost 14 years, and we have two beautiful children, the best children in the world. That is like non-negotiable. So whatever you want to say about yours, that's fine. But my children are the absolute best children in the world. I manifested them. I have the most amazing husband. I manifested him, like everything. I'm living, I am truly living my dream life. I am a marathon runner. And when I'm not engaging with my family and my clients, then I can be found talking to strangers about race, religion, and politics, only because my purpose is not to change anyone's mind or to make them believe a certain way. My purpose is to understand their point of view and their frame of reference so that I can get a better understanding of them, with the hopes, may not always happen, that when I began to share my story, that they will at least try to understand mine. Whether we agree or disagree is really not important, but it's all about understanding another person's perspective. So that's a little bit about me. I'm sure as the conversation evolves, I'll share more, but in a nutshell, this is who I am.
And I love it. And you're so authentic and real. And that's one of the things I love most about you. And I just wanted to, because you mentioned you manifested your husband and your children and your life. And I'm seeing, like, I'm working really hard on doing all of the things to do that as well. And it's really cool. And we can do that, right, Andrea?
Yes. We totally have the power. And the thing about manifestation that a lot of people don't teach on, and I don't think they don't teach on it because they're trying to tell you that there's the missing piece. I think they don't teach on it because they don't know it. But the key to manifesting, because first of all, you're manifesting at whatever frequency you vibrate, right? So if you are if your life is full of chaos, it's because you're vibrating at the frequency of chaos, right? If you have, a lot of people don't create the lives that they want to live because they're manifesting from unhealed trauma, right? And so when you have unhealed trauma, you're manifesting, but what you're manifesting is more experiences and more situations that will create unhealed trauma, which, if left unchecked, transforms to generational curses. And that's why you see the same cycles repeated through the family, because it's unhealed trauma piled on top of unhealed trauma. So yes, all of us have the ability to create whatever life it is that we want to live, but the foundation to that is healing the unhealed trauma.
Excellent. And so I'm super excited to just listen to what you have to share with us about.
What'd you say?
I'm just excited. I think I hit the mute button. I'm excited to hear what you have to teach us about this topic.
Yeah. So when you think about your business, it doesn't matter what kind of business it is only going to be as successful as your personal life, right? And even to, I guess, to drill down into that, it's only going to be as successful as you as a person, right? Because your business, it can't outgrow you. Now, there are some people who experience success, especially with their business. They can have a chaotic personal life and they experience success. But what happens over time is that success begins to deteriorate. Why? Because they have not checked their personal life. I don't care who you are. If you show me a successful person, and if I'm able to get a glimpse into their personal life, I can tell you about how long it's going to take if they leave their personal life unchecked before the business starts to crumble. That is the number one reason, actually, why businesses do crumble. It's got nothing to do with the economy. It's got, and I don't want to sound like I'm being cold-hearted or anything like that, because we know the economics and all of that, you know, and racism and sexism, like all of that plays a role in society. It's just the way that society is set up. It's everywhere in the world, right? So I'm not minimizing the impact of the social norms that we have. But as a Black woman who has successfully climbed the corporate ladder, and I have dealt with racism in the corporate world and experienced it in the coaching field, I know that these things are real. So what I'm saying is, it's got, it does have something to do with it, but we are the creators of our own reality. And the reason why I was able to be successful in the corporate world and am successful in my entrepreneurship is because I always make sure that I check myself. And what that looks like for me is when I wake up in the morning, I spend time with myself, right? I get to know who I am. I get in touch. I meditate. I do what's called the MORE method. It's my proprietary method, and it's MORE. The M stands for meditation, right? It's to access the spiritual realm, that part of me that is greater than me. Some people call that part of them God, Holy Spirit, Buddha, you know, Allah, Yahweh. It doesn't matter. That source that's outside of you. So I meditate to get in touch with my spiritual body, because we're four-dimensional beings. We're spiritual, we're mental, we're emotional, and we're physical. And so the M acknowledges my mental being, right? Getting me in touch with this universe. And then I go into O, which is observe your emotions. Okay. That is where I sit, and you can meditate for only 5 minutes. Sometimes my meditation is 15 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half, right? It just depends on where I am and what I need to do for the day. So the M is meditation. The O accesses your emotional body, and you observe how you feel without judgment, right? It's not analyzing, it's sitting quietly, and it's okay. How am I feeling right now? Oh, I'm happy. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm frustrated, right? And it's just simply observing how you feel. And then the R is for reading. Now, whatever it is that you read, this is for your mental body. It has to be something that is non-political and nonfiction, right? It has to be something that's going to inspire you, something that's going to up level you, something that's going to put you in a different frame of mind to access or to check in with your mental body. And then the E is the exercise. And again, you can do MOR, 5 minutes, boom, bam, you're done. I mean, as you evolve more, then you'll want to spend more time doing each of these, but to start. And then the E is exercise. So that's at only 15 minutes, something that's going to get the heart pumping, because when you do that, you lower the stress hormones and you increase the happy hormones, right? You get the dopamine hits and all of those hits, right? And so it's the exercise. So part of keeping yourself in check and growing your business is following or having some sort of ritual, not a routine, right? Because a routine is task, 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 task. Get up, make the bed, brush my teeth, wash my face, shower, get dressed, go to work, blah, blah, blah. Like, routine is task oriented, but a ritual is done with purpose, right? And so that is part of my morning ritual. And so if you want your business to be successful, then you have to make sure that you are always, always, always in check with yourself. And when you do that, what you will see is that things will begin to change, because your outer world is only but a reflection of your inner world, right? It's like when you think about a seed, right? the seed goes into the ground and you water the seed and you do all of that, right? And you can't see it on the surface. You can't see it. You can't visibly see that something has happened, but under the ground, something is happening, right? That seed is taking root. The seed is getting grounded. It's laying the foundation for what we will see in the visible world. Okay. So it's the same thing with our life. Just because we can't necessarily see the changes or the things that are happening, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So, but it's important for us to make sure that the soil is good, right? This is the soil, the inside, that's the soil, right? Because if we plant the seed in bad soil, nothing is going to happen. That the soil is going to eat up the seed, right? It's going to destroy it. And what will happen, even if something does grow, it's going to be defective. And so it's the same thing with us in our lives and what we're manifesting in our businesses. Like we think that, oh, here's this idea. We put the business out there and then the business becomes janky or things fall apart. Well, that's a reflection of you because the business can't sustain itself. The business itself takes its direction from you. And so you are guiding the business. And so when things begin to fall apart, when things begin to crumble, if you notice, no, you're not getting any clients or whatever, then that is the key opportunity for you to take a step back and examine your personal life. Anytime something in my business is not working the way that I think it should, then the first thing that I do is I don't say, oh, there's no clients. I don't blame the economy. I don't blame anything, but I go within myself and I say, Andrea, what are you putting out there? Right? Like, what's the motive? What's the intent? Right? Are there any blocks? Are there any stories that you've been telling yourself? What are some of your limiting beliefs? Like, what do you believe about your business success? What do you believe about money? Because if you believe that money doesn't grow on trees, like when I was growing up, that's what my mother always said to us. And actually every adult said that money doesn't grow on trees. Money doesn't grow on trees. True story. When I was 10 years old, this boy, his name was Bobby. He liked me. He liked me like nobody has ever liked me before. It's so weird because we were in the 5th grade, but oh my gosh. And I have always, oddly enough, I've always kind of known my worth, even if I didn't stand in that power of knowing my worth. But I told Bobby, again, I mean, we're in 5th grade. I said, Bobby, if you want to be my boyfriend, then you have to give me $1 and you have to buy me some chips and a Snickers. And Bobby told me, he was like, see, baby, money don't grow on trees. And it was like, I mean, we are literally like in 5th grade. And it was just like, I remember that story to this day. But so that's a story that I heard growing up, that money doesn't grow on trees, right? I heard the story that, you have to work hard to make money. I heard the story that, we just don't make a lot of money in this family, right? Like we're an average family, we're blue collar family. There's so many stories that we have around money. So we have to make sure that we check our beliefs about money, beliefs about success, beliefs about business, because if we leave those unchecked, again, we're going to create more situations and more experiences where it's not successful. Right. And so it becomes vitally important for us to really go within ourselves. It becomes vitally important for us to heal ourselves so that as we grow our business or as things happen in our business, then we know that, okay, this thing is simply happening because this is how it's supposed to, not because I have this money block, not because I have this limiting belief, not because I have done something wrong, not because I'm not manifesting, but simply because it is what it is. right? And this is the time in which this thing was supposed to happen. So that's the bridge between healing and growing a successful business.
And Andrea, like such amazing points and everything, but most of us, we go into our business and we just want to be successful, and we hustle and we hustle and we hustle. And we skip that part. We skip the healing part, and we skip the mindset part, and we resist it so much. Can you talk a bit about why maybe we do that? Because I think we're such in a rush to have the dollars coming in the door, right?
Yes. Yeah, because, well, honestly, Julie, I think that a lot of people skip the healing, that part of growing a business, because they simply don't know. I'll just be 100% honest with you. I don't think a lot of people bridge the gap between business growth and healing. Like they don't bridge that gap because, well, it's not socially acceptable. It's not socially acceptable when someone asks you how you're doing and you're on a healing journey for you to say, you know what? I'm healing. People be like, she's crazy. Like, I didn't ask her, like, what if she was healing? I asked her how she was doing. Well, the healing is the how. Like, that is how I'm doing. I'm healing. So I think a lot of people don't make the connection because they simply don't know. And the second reason I think that people skip the healing part is because, if I'm 100% honest with you, healing, it's ugly. I've been on this journey for 22 years. The healing process is ugly. There's tears, there's anger, there's frustration. There's all of these emotions that are socially unacceptable that we have to deal with, right? And, I think it was Will Smith that said, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Right? Everybody wants the successful business, and everybody wants to have all of the things that they want to have, but nobody wants to do the work. And healing is the work. Healing is the journey, for without the healing, nothing is permanent, right? And the third reason I think people skip that is because they don't know where to go, who to talk to, because healing can get lonely. There are two parts of healing. There is the part where you need to be isolated because you have to go within yourself and really truly understand who you are in order to understand what it is that you want and want to manifest. And so there's a period where you go within, and so you have to self-isolate. But then it's also equally important to have a support system so that when you go within yourself, when you are quiet, that support system can still hold you up, right? And they won't take it personal and say, oh, I haven't heard from Andrea in a couple of weeks. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe she's mad at me. Blah, 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 right? They won't take it personally, but they'll understand, you know what? She did tell me that she was working on inner child healing. Let me reach out to her to see how she's doing. Right. And so it's important to have community, but not many people know who even to talk to, which is why I started. I launched my podcast, Healing While Discovering Yourself, to normalize the healing process. So people will know that, hey, like I'm here. I am that safe space for you if you are ready to heal. If you're not ready, no problem. Right. It's not good or bad. You're just not ready. But when you are ready to heal, there is a safe space for you to go. So I think those are probably the top 3 reasons why people skip the healing and just go straight to the business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally. And like for the longest time, I can tell you honestly that I've wanted to do the ritual, and I never knew that there was a difference between a ritual and a routine. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that are my routine, I was considering part of my ritual, but they're not. So do you have any tips or tricks on how to help us and guide us in starting a ritual for us that are not used to doing the ritual and want to get started, but I get up in the morning and I'm so excited about starting my day because a lot of us, we love what we do. And so we want to skip the ritual and we want to skip the, right? And so we want to just jump right into, creating the landing page for my course or whatever. So can you maybe help us then with some tips and tricks on how to start that ritual?
Yeah. So a ritual starts with an intention, right? I mean, that's really the main difference between a ritual and a routine. A routine is task driven, but a ritual, it's intention driven, right? Everything that you do, it has a meaning. So set your intention. That's the very first thing that you can do. Why? And the intention is the why behind the why, right? Like, why? First of all, understand, why do you want to create a ritual, right? Why is that important to you? And you have to determine what that reason is. Okay. So when you understand what that why is, then you go down to, okay, so who do I need to be so that this thing, whatever it is, right, is actually going to happen for me? Who do I need to be? And when you have an idea of who you need to be, then it's understanding, what would this person do, right? And that's how you create your ritual. So based on what I know, at least all of the millionaires and billionaires that I follow, all of them meditate. There is not one successful person that I know. I mean, and when I say no, it's not like I don't know Oprah, like first, hey, Oprah girl, how you doing? Like, I don't know, Ray Dalio, right? I don't know Tony Robbins, but the ones that, at least that I follow, I don't know the Obamas, although Lord knows I wish I did. Ooh, Jesus, bring them my way, please. But anyway, but one of the things that they do is they meditate. They have some sort of quiet time, right? And meditation can look different for everybody. Some people pray as a form of meditation. It's fine. You do you, right? Some people sit and, they just free write as a form of meditation. Just whatever comes, they just write, right? But all of them have some sort of meditation practice. And so I have fashioned my ritual, right? After I understand what's my why, like, why do I need a ritual, and understand who I need to be. And then what would these people do if I were a millionaire, if I were a billionaire, what would I be doing? Then you set your ritual that way. Okay, I love, Gabrielle Bernstein. I think that's her name. I don't follow.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love Gabrielle Bernstein. Well, find out what are some of the things that Gabrielle Bernstein does, right? And at first, follow that, because success leaves a blueprint. So follow the ritual that this person lays out and then change it as you see fit, right? Okay, meditation at 6 o'clock doesn't work for me, but if I get up at 6:15, it works. And then I do it for 5 minutes. And then after I meditate, brushing my teeth works for me. Then after I do that, then it's making my bed. And I'm making my bed because I want to have some sort of order so that when I go to bed at night, I don't have to come into my room and see a messy bed and then have all of these thoughts before bed, right? Like, I want to come into my room where it's clear. So, it's understanding, number one, the intention, number two, who you need to be, and number three, what would you do if you were the person that you ultimately desire to be? Does that help?
Yes, that's amazing. And I think that baby steps, right? Yeah, just starting with baby steps. And for us, I think it's very important to tune into ourselves and our inner person, and truly do the work to be able to have success in all areas of our life, because it's not just about business, right? Like success in everything requires that inner love first, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because, I couldn't love my children and I couldn't love my husband the way that I do without first loving myself. Right? Like, I can't love, and neither can you. Nobody can. You can't give what you don't have. And so that's why it's vitally important for you to, pour into yourself. And even when you pour out of yourself, you're not even pouring from your cup. You're pouring from the overflow of your cup to make sure that your cup always stay full. Like my cup is always full because I am my number one priority. If you are not making yourself your number one priority, then I don't care what you think you're doing for your clients. You're not. You're doing them a disservice. I don't care what you think you're doing for your family. You're not. What you are teaching your family, what you're teaching your clients is that it's okay to give to other people what you don't have for yourself first. And that is a terrible precedent to set up.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're so right. So Andrea, like for us that know that maybe we have a bit of healing to do, well, I mean, we all have healing to do, right? No matter what, the levels are different. How do you begin to get into that healing journey? Like what are some of the things that we can start to do to tap into healing of ourselves firstly, and then moving to the areas where we can then go to professionals to help, whether it be a healer or a program or a course or a podcast, for example. Someone asked me what your podcast was, so I wrote it in the chat. So what's your advice on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, to begin your healing journey, you just begin. I always say that the first step is silence, sitting in silence, because you don't know what you don't know. But if you are willing to sit silently, then everything you need to know will come to you. Because as a coach, I fundamentally believe that you have all the answers inside of you. Like even when I work with my clients, the way that I work with them, I don't give them the answers. My role is simply, number one, to hold the space for them. And number two, to ask the right questions so that they can begin to search within themselves to get the answer. That is my only role. It's not to give them the answer again, and it's not to help them heal. No, it's to hold the space and ask the question. So if you want to begin, you simply begin by sitting in silence, right? And asking questions. What do I need to know right now? You can start with that simple question. What is it that I need to know right now? And understand that you can't just ask the question. You have to sit still and wait for the answer to come to you, right? And that's the major difference between, praying and meditating. Whereas prayer, you're doing all the talking, blah, God, Holy Spirit, whatever, whoever you're praying to, right? That's prayer. But then the meditation is sitting and waiting for the response, right? And so that's the number one thing that you can do. And then once you do that, listen to podcasts that you feel will elevate you. Like I said, I have the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. That's free. Anybody can listen to it. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts, normalizing the healing process, because you may hear something like, oh, I can do that. So again, the number one thing to do though, the first thing to do is sit in silence, because you don't know what you don't know. So figure out what it is that you need to know.
You know what? It's funny you say that, and I know you love Oprah. So a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I wasn't happy and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And so I did that. I did some soul searching, and I did what Oprah says in one of her books. She says, ask your heart, it never lies. Yeah. And I did that, and I sat down in silence and I asked the question, and my heart, it answered. It yes. gave me the answers. Yeah. So that was some form of healing for me back way, like a few years ago, when I was trying to figure out what I was meant to do.
Yes, exactly. The heart never lies. You will get the answer to every question when you go within yourself. You will always get the answer. It may not necessarily come when you think it should, right? When you want it to, but the answer will always come.
So good, so good. So we have your podcast, which is called Healing While Discovering Yourself. Andrea's podcast is new-ish, and so I know it's going to be incredible, because I love listening to you. You're just so amazing. how else, like, where can we find you, Andrea, and how can people work with you if they choose to do so, or if they're interested in knowing more about you?
Yeah. So, well, I'm actually hosting an inner child healing retreat at the end of this month. It's a virtual retreat. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to innerchildhealing.co, innerchildhealing.co, and, you know, learn more about the retreat and sign up for it if you feel led to do so. I do have a website, andreamichel.com. However, it is under construction because as I have evolved, so has my business evolved, right? And so it's important that my website reflect who I currently am. And so when I first had it done, I'm not that same person. So the website is under construction, which will be, once I get my branding photos at the end of this month, it'll be up and running, but whatever. So you can find me at andreamichel.com. I'm also on Instagram at Andrea Michel Consulting. And then the podcast does have its own Instagram, which is Healing While Discovering Podcast. And then I'm on Facebook as Andrea Michel. So those are all of the places where people can find me. The Inner Child Healing Retreat is a great way to work with me. And then also if you want to do more, then I do work with clients one-on-one. And then I also have a 6-month mentorship. But again, starting with the Inner Child Healing Retreat, that's probably the first place to start, because it'll give you an opportunity to see how I work, my flow, my process, and all of that.
That's amazing. So good. So good. I'm just feeling called to ask, like, what does it mean, healing your inner child? Because we hear that all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the inner child is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a little kid, a 5-year-old, a 3, a 6-year-old. Your inner child is the version of yourself that basically stopped growing because of some sort of traumatic or unpleasant event, right? So for a lot of people, I mean, for all of us, if I'm being honest with you, I've had people who, they're like, when they start with me, they're like, well, you know, I grew up with both of my parents and we were great. Mom, blah, blah, blah. Dad worked. Mom was stay at home. Everything was fine. And I'm like, okay, great. And we dig into it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I had an absent father. That's why I have trouble with men or whatever. So the inner child, again, you can be 15, age is not necessarily important, is that part of you that's still hurting from something that happened when you were younger. So when I talk about, and some people may look at it differently, but based on my experience with myself and with my clients, when I talk about the inner child, it's that version of you, right? That person that's hurting and needs to come out. And the problem with not necessarily healing the inner child is that when we experience a traumatic event or an unpleasant event, basically we stop growing at that point. So even though we may be 35, 40, 50 years old, if we haven't healed that part of us, where that age of us where we experience trauma, then we continue to see things through that lens and we make decisions based on that. And so a lot of people who become business owners, they were like, for me, I was molested at 8 years old. If I wouldn't have healed that for 20 years, I lived my life through the lens of an 8-year-old molested little girl. So every decision was shaded through that, you know, what was shaded through that lens, right? Until I healed that and I started to see things differently, make decisions differently. And so it's the same way with a lot of people. So I know that's a long answer, but it's complicated, but it's not.
No, I get it. And sometimes also it's possible that there could be events that we had forgotten about, but they're still affecting us without us knowing. It's a subconscious thing, right? Because I know that I did healing recently, like in the last year or so, and it brought something up that I was like, really? That was affecting me? I wouldn't have guessed, right? So I think if you have an open heart and an open mind to the healing process, just beautifulness can come out of it, because we have an opportunity to heal and rewrite the past so that we can move forward in our future on the right path with the right love for ourselves.
Exactly. Well, because a lot of people do disassociate, because the job of the unconscious mind is to protect the physical body, right? It's for survival. Okay. And so also part of that in protecting the physical body is to store information. And when we experience something unpleasant, the unconscious mind basically stores that from us. And what happens is that we disassociate from that memory. And so that's why people live their lives. And it's not until they actually do the healing work that they're like, oh my gosh, like I totally forgot that this happened to me, because they disassociated from it. And that's why it's important that when you do begin to do the inner child healing work, that you do seek the help of a professional, like a trauma sensitive coach like myself, or even a therapist can help you, because things will begin to come up and it will feel heavy. But if you have a professional, again, a therapist or a coach, whichever route you go, I don't think you can go wrong. They can support you in that. So when something is revealed, like a very traumatic incident, you don't fall deeper into your trauma, but they hold the space for you.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Amazing. Well, that was so much good information. Do you have anything you want to close with?
Just that, I'm sure you've all heard this before, but I think it's worth repeating over and over and over again. We are not responsible for what people do to us, especially what we experience as children, right? Like we have no control over that. It wasn't my fault that I was molested, right? Like I was 8 years old. But what we are responsible for is our own healing. We make the choice either to heal or not to heal. And I fundamentally believe a lot of us look at life through the lens of hurt people. And that is to kind of make an excuse for the way we or other people react. But the truth is, or a more empowering view is that healed people heal people, right? And so when you focus on healed people, healing people, then that is more empowering, so that when you see someone who is hurting, instead of coddling them and enabling them to say, oh, I know you're hurting and that's why you responded this way, blah, 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 you can look at them empathetically and understand like, oh, they're hurting. Is there anything that I can do to help them heal? Well, when someone's hurting, really the only thing that you can do is love them, because if you respond with hate, then you're just going to generate more of that. So if you forget everything that I've said, understand that you are 100% responsible from your healing. And if you are not healing, it is because you are consciously or unconsciously making the choice not to do so.
I love that. It's so powerful, right? But it can also change our lives.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being with us today. I'm so grateful to you for being in my life, for one, inspiring me every day with your beautiful face and your beautiful messages and everything. I'm just so grateful that you were accepted to be with us today and doing this training for us.
Thank you so much for having me. It is my great honor, my pleasure. And it's always a privilege to come before people and just share the importance of healing on this journey. called life.
I know, right? And I truly believe, like, we come into each other's lives. It's not by coincidence, right? Yeah, it's definitely on purpose. So I forgot to ask, but I don't think anybody had any questions. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have put it in the comments. But if you guys have anything else after the fact, you can also ask on the events in the Facebook group. So, or just feel free to DM Andrea on her Instagram or on Facebook or any of that stuff. So thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Thanks everyone for being here, and have a wonderful day.
Bye.